Hello and welcome to the triumphant return of the Sox on Both Feet podcast.
Woo! Back. Woo!
We got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about, a lot of White Sox, Red Sox stuff to talk about, some drama, perhaps. Some exciting games to be played, some complaints, and we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about in the NBA and NHL playoffs.
Give you the updates. You know what you need to know when you're talking at a biddy at a bar. You know what you got to say. If she's wearing a Blues jersey.
I was talking to some rando wearing a Blues jersey the other day.
Was she hot?
It was a guy.
L.
Yeah, I think he was a good-looking guy, though. I will say, I'm excited to talk about a lot of that stuff. I think some interesting things have happened, but we can get to that later. We got some exciting baseball stuff to talk about too.
It's been an exciting month of April for sure, and we wanted to wait.
May. It's been an exciting month of May.
Yeah, sorry, we haven't done an episode since April, so I forgot. But yeah, so let's get into this rundown. We'll do the Red Sox rundown first. I'll let you know how the Red Sox have done. It's been a while, but let's recap May for the Red Sox, a month that saw the team start to turn around the season, maybe win some games, stop being such a fucking embarrassment, which I say that, but I don't think I've been that upset with the Red Sox as much as other fans have been. And hopefully this new winning streak and scoring runs and doing well will kind of get the fan base to calm down a little bit. But since we last talked, our first series that we had was the Angels way back at the beginning of May. It was the first series after we last recorded, giving the Red Sox their first look at Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, finally making their move to see the Angels not be pathetic. Michael Wacha led the Red Sox in shutting out the Angels the first game and handing Noah Syndergaard his first loss of the season at the time. The rest of the series would not be as fortunate, though. Mike Trout and his merry band of big league sluggers demolished the Sox in the next two games, 5-10 and 0-8 to win the series, which was not great. But after that, we had our first White Sox Red Sox series of the season.
Woo, woo.
And woo, did it suck to be a Red Sox fan for that season series. Long story short, we got swept. Every game was kept close, though, which was awesome to see. There's a lot of pitching battles. Lost the first game 2-4. The Red Sox, who had been notorious so far this year for bringing games to extra innings and blowing leads, did both in the second game of the series, gifting the White Sox ironically, their first extra inning game of the series of the season and their first extra innings win of the season. So that was nice. The last game was 1-3. It's been a while, so we thought about doing a bit more detail for that, but, none of you remember that anyway, so it doesn't matter. Then it was the Braves, and it was with the Braves, in my opinion, post-White Sox series, that the Red Sox began to surge as they have in the later part of May. And they won 9-4 to start with a 2 RBI outing for Trevor Story. Also the start of his big upswing. And they would go on to split the 2-game series, which is fine. But then the Astros, our mid-May series against the Astros went well, marking one of the first series the Red Sox have been able to win against a contending team this series, taking 2 out of 3 home games, thanks to Pivetta seemingly turning his season around as well in Game 3, giving up only 1 run in the first. And then Seattle, the first sweep of the season. Rain, go away, but I hope Seattle comes back someday. The Mariners series was there in May, the Mariners series was where May really started to come together. Trevor Story hit 400 throughout the entire series, and both he and Franchi Cordero got grand slams, heralding the Red Sox lineup both back into the swing of things, and led the Red Sox for their first sweep of the series. And then, obviously, in these last 3 days, we had this most recent White Sox series, which was great to watch if you were a Red Sox fan in Game 1 and 2, and Game 1 and 3, even though Game 2 was pretty good. These White Sox games did not go like they did the first time. This time, the Red Sox were ready. And by ready, I mean they did not play like an awful baseball team and actually play to their potential. The first game was against Dylan Cease, and while I love me some Cease, the Red Sox were on him like a fat kid on cake.
Yeah, his only bad start of the season, really.
Yeah. And Red Sox scored 7 runs off Cease in the first 3 innings and would go on to get 9 more off the White Sox bullpen. And while for Shy Sox listeners, that sucks to see Dylan Cease kind of be mortal, it was great for me to see the Red Sox hit off such a good Cy Young contending pitcher, which, every pitcher's going to have bad games. So it doesn't really matter for Dylan Cease, but, it was a great pick-me-up.
Yeah.
They won the first game 16-3. Second game was perhaps the best game of the series, a close pitching battle that had plenty of hits, good batters. And Jake Berger would put away the Red Sox with a 3-run bomb in the 5th. The final game was tough to watch for White Sox fans. Another 16-run victory for the Red Sox, including a home run off Josh Harrison in the 9th, which was maybe in poor taste.
However, the first White Sox position player on the mound.
Yeah,
this year since September of 2021. First White Sox position player on the mound.
Yeah, more than a few fielding concerns for the South Side, but once it became clear that Tony was punting the game and sent in Josh Harrison, the mood lifted, at least between us while we were watching the game. Everything was just like, all right, that's fine. Though it will be noted that Josh
Harrison, not a bad pitcher, to be honest.
He had some good. He had 4 pitches. He
gave up a home run, but he had a nasty curveball, bro.
He struck out JD Martinez.
Pretty good.
Though it will be noted,
and he struck out Xander Bogaerts.
And he struck out. Yeah, it's true. He had 2 strikeouts.
Nasty.
But it will be noted that Matt Barnes and Sourmore did their best to throw the game, loading the bases 3 times in the final 3 innings.
Yeah.
But that was the game run recaps for all of May that we missed, which, sorry, but not really that sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I started a new job, so I'm going to take responsibility for my scheduling. I'm working 2 jobs right now, so my scheduling's been a little out of whack, but we're back now, and I don't anticipate seeing another big delay. Yeah, again. Good thing we gave all those bonus episodes.
Yeah, I know, exactly. The bonus episodes are really holding everybody over.
Yeah.
But as far as everything else, though, looking back at May so far, those great White Sox games for the Red Sox, the Seattle games, the big story has been Trevor's story. Kind of really
the big story.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we should call him. We should call him Big Story, or 10-story building, or I guess I don't know.
We can workshop.
We'll work on that. We'll bring that back in another episode. But Trevor's story is finally, it feels like, started to hit like the player that most Red Sox fans felt like we were promised when we got him in a trade deal.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I knew who Trevor's story was, and I think a lot of other hardcore baseball fans kind of knew who Trevor's story was. And I knew who Trevor's story was because of Zach.
Okay.
Zach was the one who informed me.
No. Again. As we mentioned many times on this story, Sean last year, so much Trevor Story's overrated. Trevor Story's not very good.
Trevor Story is overrated.
Bad. Oh, guess what? You were just dog shitting on him. You were just shitting on him as a whole. You would look for whenever he was doing bad. You go, you'd go, he's just in Colorado.
Yeah.
Well, when he's hitting grand slams for the Red Sox.
For the first half of the season, he was dog shit. So maybe I was right. Maybe he's just doing good now. And even you said this to me as well, which I think is very interesting, is that somebody said to you that Trevor's story.
It was the White Sox broadcasters were talking about it.
The White Sox broadcaster said that Trevor's story, almost universally, his best month of the season is May, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
But he's been doing great. He's been hitting up to his potential. Like I said, in that Seattle series, he hit 400 throughout the series, grand slam. And the biggest thing about it is that every game that I watched so far in this May, in the second half of May, not the first. We don't need to talk about the first half of May. Trevor's story, when he comes out of the plate, I'm just like, ooh, he's coming in clutch, baby. Whether it be like a fly out or, an RBI single or double or home run, as he's been getting a lot of home runs recently. He's really playing up to what I think Red Sox fans need him to be, especially in a season that was going to be so hyped. We're finally doing it. The last postseason, we scored like a league record of runs in one series, blah, blah, blah. and then it just has been dog shit and awful, and I just want to, But
well, I think it's good that you guys up in Boston got yourself a Jesus-loving slugger to counter Aaron Judge.
Exactly.
In New York.
Exactly.
Now everybody's getting Jesus-loving sluggers.
Jesus loves baseball, and these guys love Jesus, and Jesus rewards them for their faith.
Exactly.
And one other thing I'd like to just mention is that a lot of people are starting to notice that as soon as Alex Cora shaved his beard, things have just been going right. Maybe teams like the Braves and the Yankees and to a certain extent the White Sox as well. No beards maybe is the way to go.
White Sox got good facial hair.
They
all have beards. Abreu has a beard. Lance Lynn has a beard.
I don't know. I was reading. That's what I thought, and that's what I was thinking. It's like everybody on the White Sox has a beard, but I read an article about Keuchel because Keuchel has the big beard.
Keuchel has a beard. Yeah.
Yeah. In this article, it was like, Keuchel, despite the White Sox regulations, is keeping his beard. And I was like, I don't think the White Sox have
been on the team for years. Beard. And everybody on this team has
I was wondering, just like
facial hair.
I don't think that's a rule. Like, I mean, if it is a rule, it's a very poorly held rule.
Yeah, I mean, the White Sox whole thing is that they don't care about these rules.
Yeah, well, maybe
their whole mantra.
Maybe beards are bad for baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it was good for Joey Gallo, though.
That's true.
Ever since he's had to cut his beard, his career has been
Joey
ruined.
Gallo, like Samson, as soon as you cut his beard, he started to suck.
Yeah, he's been doing a little better this year.
Yeah, but otherwise, it's just been a nice May for the Red Sox, kind of coming back.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah,
hopefully, we can get above 500 soon. That's
Trevor Story's absolutely going to be, I think, a player of the month of May.
Him, I mean, he was AL Player of the Week that we played Seattle. One other note, I suppose, before we get off of Red Sox review is that I love Franchi. Franchi's been doing great, and I'd like to see more Franchi in the lineup.
And you're disappointed in your boy.
I am disappointed in Bobby. I'm finally gonna say it. Bobby might just need a few tune-up games in Worcester, but you know what? That's the way it goes. He's still young. He'll be fine. He'll survive.
Yeah,
but
literally yesterday you were like, maybe we should trade Bobby Dahlbeck for Josh Bell.
I did not say.
Yes, you did. That is what you said. How far has he fallen in your eyes then? For Josh Bell? Don't get me wrong, he's a first baseman, but he's
a first baseman.
But I mean, it's like Bobby Dahlbeck last year. You're like, he can be Rookie of the Year. And now you're like, let's get rid of him for Josh Bell from the Nats.
I got this jersey. I can't be getting rid of him. Maybe I did say that, but I was high, so it was an error.
It was an error.
Anyway, enough of the Red Sox. White Sox got more actual real things to talk about.
I'm glad that May was a really good month for the Red Sox. For one of the Sox, it was a good month because I didn't have any fun in May. Let me say, even when we were doing good, very Chicago fan of me.
Yeah.
So since we last talked, the White Sox had just, it seemed like, gotten their shit together against the Angels. They had just split the series with the Angels, but they split in like a really good, exciting way. Then they went on, go to the north side, got a 2-game sweep of the Cubs in Wrigley. I was at one of those games. It was a lot of fun.
Shit out of those yuppie skulls.
Yeah, exactly. We flew the L in Wrigley. We unfurled the L flags because they love their W flags. We unfurled the L for them, helped them out there. Then we went in to Boston with all this momentum. 3-game sweep of the Red Sox, of the Bo Sox. Wonderful. And then we go, let's play Cleveland. We can host Cleveland. We can get some wins off Cleveland. We got this hot shit. We are on a 6-game win streak at that time. Then we go into the 9th inning. We're up 4 runs. We go, no way, this is going bad. A man called Josh Naylor, who had already hit a home run in that game, steps up to the plate, and he hits a grand slam. Okay, this was the Josh Naylor game. I actually recommend anybody to go back and look at this Cleveland win in Chicago because I've never seen in baseball one player carry a team in my whole life as much as Josh Naylor did that game. He got 8 RBI, multiple home runs. He had every defensive play. He actually won them the game. It went to extra innings then when they hit that grand slam. He won them the game in extra innings by hitting another home run. And he also won them the game because he made an incredible like splits. He's a first baseman. He made like a split catch that nobody thought he was going to make to win them the game and to stop the White Sox from scoring. So he went crazy, but that was followed up by a White Sox win over the Guardian. It was a little scary. And then the big bad Yankees came to Chicago. They won 3 of 4, unfortunately.
Boo.
I know, 3 of 4. And then we went to the Royals, and I'm thinking, all right, we got to get back on the right track. I thought we kind of were resolving this. We looked dog shit against the Yankees, and we're like, we just got to win 4 of the 5 games against the Royals. We won 3 of 5 games against the shitty-ass Royals. Not totally happy about it. But then we go to New York. Revenge against the Yankees. Revenge time. They're so confident. They're like, we went to Chicago. We took 3 of 4. We beat your ass.
Meanwhile, this entire time, I will remind everybody, the Yankees have been having nonstop fan fuckery episodes where they're stealing balls from kids. They had the early one against the Guardians earlier in the season. And every week it just feels like up until this point, there's been some bullshit with Yankees fans. Yeah,
my theory actually why Aaron Judge doesn't want to re-sign on the Yankees, this is actually my legitimate theory. I know it is a conspiracy, but it is my theory, is that he actually just doesn't like Yankees fans, and he doesn't. So I think he wants Aaron Judge's plan, is my thinking. When I think about when I play my Be a Pro in these games and stuff, my players, I'm like, Aaron Judge, I think what he wants to do is he's like, I've been here. I've been the face of this franchise. I'm going to get him a chip this year. New York, fine. It's been a long time. They deserve another championship. I'm going to get them this chip this year. And then I'm going to leave these fucking asshole fans and asshole people. Because he never defends the fans, even though they love him. He never does. He takes every opportunity
just
to be like, Yankees, come on, guys.
And now he's going to go play for the Dodgers.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That'd be a nightmare. The Cubs think that they're going to get him.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Well, I hope they do. I think that'd be fun.
Why do you hope that they do? You're going to be playing them.
Well, I don't want the Cubs to just be dog shit forever. Like, I want those games to be exciting,
Yeah, I guess.
And because it'll be even better because they'll get Aaron Judge and suddenly think all their problems with having no pitching will be resolved, and it won't be.
I think the Red Sox are going to get Aaron Judge.
That happened in our big franchise mode with the A's. It was a Verdugo for Judge, 1-for-1.
Yeah, easy equivalent value swap.
Hardly. I think they were both signed in free agency.
Probably.
Anyway, so the White Sox then go to New York. We lose the first game, but then we win both games of a doubleheader, including on national TV. Then we come back home against the Red Sox again, and we get blown out in 2 games, but win 1 game. So we won our season series against the Red Sox, though. We're done playing each other. The Battle of the Sox is over. White Sox 4 wins, Red Sox 2 wins. The White Sox, just with them, it's just honestly been very frustrating because the injuries, it just feels like everything about this team, the way to describe the team this past month is 1 step forward, 1 step backwards. That's all it's been. With injuries, it's been like that, right? Lucas Giolito gets healthy. Oh, he gets re-injured. Eloy gets re-injured. Luis Robert gets re-injured. Yohan misses time. Joe Kelly gets injured. And they keep going, oh, well, look, we get these guys back. Like Joe Kelly came back healthy. Lucas Giolito came back healthy. All these guys I'm talking about just are getting re-injured. And it's very frustrating. They're also just playing 500 ball. Right, this whole month we've just been a game below 500, a game above 500, at 500, 2 games below 500, 2 games above 500, at 500. That's all it's been. They've kind of been. I've hated it for a long time when people said this. They've kind of been playing, but I agree. They've kind of been playing uninspired, lazy. They've been. At least they aren't making crazy errors anymore. But they're just doing stupid shit like they're like back-to-back days. Yeah, back-to-back days we've had collisions of our players running into each other to catch a ball. That shouldn't be happening on a team that
it shouldn't be happening in a major league team
to win the World Series, much less any major league team. Yeah. So it's just kind of frustrating, but whatever. It's still May. I said before the season even started in the first episode, baseball doesn't start till June, so I'm not going to let myself get that worried. Although we have an insanely difficult June. But I just honestly, my just biggest regret is I don't think they should have teams that you only play 2 series against. I think it should be not allowed to have those series in the same month because I really wish when the White Sox were more healthy and also just more focused, I wish I would get to see them play the Yankees or Red Sox again later on in the year. But I won't get to see them play those teams again unless it's in the playoffs. And it would just be really good. I mean, I want to see the Red Sox again for the purpose of this podcast. I think it'll be really fun again later when we're more together. But I want to see the Yankees again when we truly have our legs under us, because they're a really good barometer team and the best team in probably in baseball right now. And so,
well, I mean, that team is the Mets actually, but
I don't know about that.
Dude,
I think.
What are you talking about?
The Yankees are absolutely better than the Mets.
No, that's wrong.
Yes,
but
they
okay.
Are.
That's wrong.
I mean, DeGrom and Scherzer are out like we knew they would be.
DeGrom and Scherzer are out, and they're still winning all these games.
I mean, they're in the NL. If they were in the AL, we'll see how many games they'd be winning.
Easily, they'd be winning the same.
They would still be one of the best teams. Don't get me wrong. The
NL
Mets are
and
for
AL
sure.
doesn't matter anymore because they're because of the universal DH now.
Oh no, I just think the AL still the average team is better than in the NL.
Yeah, okay.
But I think I put the Mets at the third best team in the MLB.
Oh,
I mean, it's Yankees second? Yankees won, obviously, then Dodgers, then Mets.
The Mets are better than the Dodgers.
No, Mets are a regular season team also. But they're not better than the Dodgers.
I'll not be hearing this slander. Continue on with your spiel.
Anyway,
Mr. Man,
I'm done with my spiel about the White Sox, but we have a big story to talk about. And Sean, you can chime in.
Perhaps the biggest story in baseball, albeit sports, for a little bit there.
Absolutely. It might be the biggest baseball drama this season, I think.
First scandal of the year.
So let me give you guys a little background. We're obviously going to be talking about the Tim Anderson, Josh Donaldson beef here. Last year, when Josh Donaldson was on the Twins, Lucas Giolito and Josh Donaldson got into an argument because Josh Donaldson hit a home run off of Lucas Giolito in a game the White Sox won. And Josh Donaldson, when he was rounding the bases, screamed, "No more sticky stuff, no more sticky stuff, ha, 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 no more sticky stuff." This was right after the crackdown. But Lucas Giolito didn't even have drop spin rates. And there's no evidence that he even was a user of sticky stuff. No one in the White Sox rotation or bullpen had heavy pitching stuff or spin rate drops. And Giolito, I can't remember what he said back, but it resulted in all this beef on the field. Then after the game, Josh Donaldson felt like it was a smart thing to do. I think we already talked about this once on the podcast, but Josh Donaldson felt like it was a smart thing to do. He found Lucas Giolito's car in the parking lot after the game in in Chicago. And he stood outside of it and waited for Gio to finish up with the locker room, media, whatever, come to the car. And then he just started screaming at a shocked Lucas Giolito, who was just trying to go home for the night. He just started screaming at him and berating him. In any other workplace, if you did that, you would be fired. If you stood outside one of your coworkers' cars till after work just so you could scream at them. Yeah. But so anyway, White Sox established, and every time we saw the Twins, nobody liked Josh Donaldson. There's beef there. Earlier this year, when the Yankees were in New York, we had when the Yankees were in Chicago, we had a bench clearing incident in a big fight because TA was leading off of third base, and Josh Donaldson made a really harsh and aggressive tag attempt that Tim Anderson felt was a dirty play, unnecessary, because who actually makes an insane aggressive tag attempt in a situation like that?
Josh Donaldson does, because he's a fucking psycho.
That's true. Josh Donaldson does. And so they had a little fight about that again. Tim Anderson didn't say anything to him since that. When the White Sox were in New York this past weekend, on Saturday, the first game of the season, after an inning was over, Josh Donaldson was on second base. He walked into TA. He walked into him when TA was going back to the dugout, and he called him Jackie, referring to Jackie Robinson. Next time Josh Donaldson goes up to bat, Yasmani Grandal, White Sox catcher, he said he said after the game he was gonna do whatever it took to get the message across to Josh. But Yaz just starts screaming at him. He just starts going into it. He stands up. He's putting his finger on Josh. He's yelling at Josh. Josh Donaldson's standing there. He's just kind of taking it. He's just kind of surprised.
I know, he was a scared school child. Just sitting there, just I don't know what to do. This man is yelling at me. Umpire, help me, help me.
He very much looked shocked, and Yaz was just letting him have it. And then
Yaz, what was cool about Yaz letting him have it was he wasn't really screaming either. He was just nonstop, just you motherfucker. I swear
he was talking him down. He was dressing him down.
It was nonstop, just talking. Like your grandma comes sometimes talks to you when you done something, just nonstop, just getting after your ass.
Done. And then this resulted in a whole bench clearing where TA really went off. He was so pissed. Abreu and Sheets literally had to pick him up and carry him into the dugout because they weren't going to let him get
It was quite the scene.
Yeah, he was like really pissed. You could see he was angry. Then after the game, Tim Anderson, or nobody talked about it. And Tony La Russa, they're asked about it. He's like, all I'm going to say is Josh Donaldson made a racist comment. That's all I'm going to say. And then Tim Anderson, when he was asked about that, Tim Anderson never said Josh Donaldson made a racist comment. What he did say, though, he was asked, he was like, Tony La Russa said Josh Donaldson made a racist comment and that it was inappropriate, whatever, and disrespectful. What do you feel about what Tony La Russa said? And Tim Anderson was just like, same. And they're like, do you think it was racist? And he was like, same. I've said what I'm saying, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, then after the game in the Yankees press conference, Josh Donaldson, he's like, I called him Jackie because in 2019 interview, Tim Anderson was asked about how he's bringing fun back into baseball. And he said he felt like Jackie Robinson bringing fun back into the baseball. Because if you remember 2019, Tim Anderson did the bat flip. He was before the Tatis doing it, he was the first one of these young guys to be like, all these unwritten rules are so stupid. Let's just be wild, have fun, be emotion.
Which is the origin of change the game.
Yes, that is the origin of the White Sox motto right now. Which I think it's a very good motto. I still think good guys wear black is my favorite White Sox motto.
That one's pretty good too. They're both really good though.
Yeah, I agree. And apparently, and then Tim Anderson further elaborated after that interview in 2019. And Josh Donaldson, he goes, that's a running joke between us. That's a running joke between Tim Anderson and I. I called him that when I was on the Braves. Ever since he's referred to himself, I called him that in 2019. And Tim Anderson was like, okay. And Josh Donaldson claimed they laughed about it in 2019 when he called TA Jackie. And Tim Anderson says that's not what happened. When he did call me Jackie in 2019, but what I said was, I was like, this is a quote from Tim Anderson. He says that he responded to Josh Donaldson saying, we don't ever have to talk again, and I won't speak to you. You won't speak to me if that's how you're going to refer to me. So it doesn't sound like in 2019 when Josh Donaldson said that.
It didn't seem like a joke.
Yeah, like Tim Anderson and him were big buddies about it. After the game, Tim Anderson was kind of humble about it. Interesting White Sox comments. Joe Kelly, when asked about it, he just said, the guy is a douche, and whatever he's saying, they're not boys. They're not friends. Yeah. Liam Hendricks had a really good quote that's been going around a lot. Liam Hendricks called Josh Donaldson's defense of himself. He said, that's completely inappropriate. And then after hearing what was said after the game, usually you have inside jokes with people you get along with, not people you don't get along with at all. So that statement right there was complete bullshit. But then again, my feelings toward the individual in question are pretty well documented that we don't get along. I've now spoken to, I think, 4 separate clubhouses that he's been into, and as a whole, none of them got along. So him trying to whip out that narrative is complete and utter bullshit. In this clubhouse, we have TA's back and everything. That was just completely unacceptable thing, and trying to whip it out as being an inside joke, that's horseshit. They don't have those sort of things going on. It's like having an inside joke with a guy who you are a nemesis with, I guess you could say. But that's not how it went down in the clubhouse, and I don't understand how he ever thought about it like that. It's just straight delusional. So I thought that was a really good whole long quote from Liam Hendricks that I think is a really good response to the situation.
Yeah, I love how the whole ordeal kind of played out in that doubleheader. And at the end of the series,
it was perfect.
Because,
well, I'm getting to that. Yeah.
And I'll let you cover that, but I just want to highlight how fucking detestable Yankees fans proved themselves to be.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, chanting Jackie at a dude on the field. Like, are you the fucking 1940s Pirates or the Phillies? What are you doing?
So just wait. After the game, Aaron Judge and Aaron Boone both said they did not like what Josh Donaldson said, and they said he should not have made it. Even Aaron Boone was even directly asked, and Judge were asked. Aaron Boone, I think, was directly asked, but aren't you going to back up your player? And he was like, no. And both Aaron Judge and Aaron Boone were like, I don't like that he said that. That was a bad thing to say. And all the other Yankees asked about it refused to comment. Okay. This is a guy that he's been on a lot of teams. People don't like him. Before the season, in spring training, when asked about the Twins, they weren't even talking about Josh Donaldson. Dallas Keuchel was being interviewed, and he was asked about the Twins, and he just brought up Donaldson for no reason because Donaldson had just been traded to the Yankees. And he said, things didn't work out with Donaldson in Minnesota. It's known because he couldn't get along with the Latinos in the dugout. And so anyway, come the next day, we have a doubleheader. The Yankees and the White Sox talk. Josh Donaldson plays in the morning. Tim Anderson doesn't. Tim Anderson plays in the afternoon game, the night game, which is nationally broadcast. Josh Donaldson doesn't. And it turns out, because even the Yankees teammates and coaches weren't supportive of Josh Donaldson, it turns out the only people that were supportive of Josh Donaldson in the whole league were Yankees fans who booed TA whenever he was on ball, and they chanted Jackie at him. After all this drama, they were chanting Jackie at him when he went up to bat, which I mean, anyway, but he
doesn't matter what Josh Donaldson said, whether he meant it as racist or not. Those Yankee fans were being racist.
I gotta say, I don't think Josh Donaldson meant it as racist, but this guy and everybody is out like, hey, I'm taking that racially. I don't like that you said that. I feel that's racist, and you're chanting that. That is then very problematic.
There is no cognitive reason that you can't put together in your head that if you as a fan are going to mock a black player in baseball by calling him Jackie, you have no place to be in baseball. You should get out of the fucking stadium, and you should not be allowed back in. I agree. Fucking ridiculous.
I'm fine. Like, just boo him. Just boo him. Then.
Yeah, just boo him. Just boo him. Like, I know you're Yankee fans. I know you're trash. Just boo him. You don't have to be literal degenerates.
Well, so as they're booing him, as they're chanting Jackie at him, White Sox have a 2-0 lead. Tim Anderson hits a 3-run homer, puts the White Sox up 5-0. Closes out the game, and as he was rounding the bases, he yelled at the Yankees players. He goes, y'all motherfuckers need to shut the fuck up. And he did the whole quiet finger over the lips shush symbol to the whole city of New York, and he silenced them. Ultimately, Josh Donaldson was suspended 1 game by the MLB, which he is appealing, but he did issue an apology to the Jackie Robinson family, and he said Jackie Robinson's a true American hero, and he holds his name in the highest regard. So that's our little flavor piece this week.
Excellent ass covering by Josh Donaldson.
I know that's what it was. Yeah. It's just so nobody likes this guy, but he's a good villain. It's interesting. I was listening to White Sox podcast and stuff, and they've been like, they can't think of anybody in recent White Sox history, like certainly not in my lifetime, that's been such a villain to the White Sox, because he's had existing beef for years on multiple teams, and that's the difference. Is maybe we hate these guys that are career Twins players or whatever, or Tigers players, but that's different. Like, this person is actually like a bad person that we genuinely hate, like Grayson Allen with the Bulls, and can't be walking around Chicago anymore.
Yeah, and I will say to all these fucking dumbasses on Twitter and in the media and everything that keep saying that, like, oh, well, he said it in an interview, so whatever. It's like, don't tell somebody who is black how to feel about something that's racist. If they feel it's inappropriate, it's inappropriate. And I think that's one of the most truthful statements I've seen on Twitter in response to all these posts and dumbasses trying to explain away what Josh Donaldson did. And I think that's a really good rule of thumb that I think's come out, and I think a lot of people have learned from this. And I hope that Josh Donaldson takes that, he can't just say whatever he wants, even if in his mind he has a good reason, to the person he's talking to, it might not be.
I mean, what really puts it to bed, I feel like, is that Tim Anderson said when he called him Jackie in 2019, he said, we don't ever have to speak again.
Yeah.
As a response, in that he doesn't want to talk to him ever again. So obviously that is not something he liked then or found appropriate then either.
Yeah. I'm glad the White Sox put down the Yankees in their last meeting, and I'm sad that they're not going to have another meeting, because that would have been great to see. In
we
Chicago.
May see him in the playoffs. Who knows?
I hope so, and I hope that the White Sox have home field advantage to really fucking give it to them.
Yeah, White Sox have never played the Yankees in playoffs in history.
Yeah. Is there any other White Sox news you'd like to share?
No, I think we're good to go on to NBA and NHL news.
I know it's been an exciting playoffs for both leagues. I think that the NBA playoffs have, at this point, for a lot of fans, boiled down to something that's not as fun. Looking like the Celtics and the Warriors are going to be going on to the finals. The Heat still have a chance, but come on,
they do.
They won 4 quarters in 5 games.
It's just unlikely with the Heat, especially. I think there are situations where the Heat could have. They could have won the series, but I mean, it's especially unlikely right now, them being down 3-2, and the next game's in Boston, and all their 3 of their top 6 guys are playing hurt. And if it wasn't an elimination game, wouldn't even be playing. And that obviously impacts their production. So, I mean, it's really most likely going to be Boston, Golden State, which is not something I think with just how this NBA playoff started looking so exciting, it looked like the teams in it were so different, so unique, such fresh flavors. It really has boiled down to two franchises that I think are hard for people outside of those fan bases to get excited about.
Yeah, I think that even for me, being excited about the Celtics, most likely going to be in the finals, the fact that it's Golden State, I'm just like, oh, come on, really? We couldn't have played somebody fun. You know what I mean? Not that Golden State isn't fun to watch, I guess, or whatever. But, like, I was kind of hoping for a little bit, something more exciting, something less,
Yeah.
But I will say what's been impressing me the most about the Celtics is that they've been playing adaptable ball this whole season. This is my season that I've been getting into basketball because you saw in that first series when they played the Nets, they were in their peak. They were playing exactly the way they needed to crush the Nets. They were all close games, but it was a sweep. And then you saw him go up against the Bucks and Giannis, who in the first two games were just demolishing the Celtics. But you saw the Celtics be like, okay, we got to change.
That was an awesome series.
We have to adapt to stop him, And they were able to kind of pull that out in 7 games, and it was really impressive. Or was it 7 or 6?
Yeah, it was 7.
It was 7, yeah. And you saw them kind of adapt to Giannis to stop him, to really change how they were playing, focus more on blocks and hard defense, and just try to get points where they can. And they scrapped their way through it. And then when they got to the Heat, they had to change again. They were playing a fast team with an actual lineup that was full of talent. They couldn't just focus on one guy.
A team, only other true defensive defense, the Celtics and the Heat of the Eastern Conference teams are the only ones that defense is what carries us through.
Yeah. And you could see that not having to play against Giannis, Tatum was finally able to just kind of like bulldoze through guys and get the ball in the basket. And you saw their defense switch from being a harder defense, trying to stop and get blocks, into a more of a steal defense, which I think has been their biggest strength this season.
Yeah.
Even without Marcus Smart for most of the
Celtics
series.
Problem in that series against Boston, but it's really, in that series against the Bucks, but it's really all in the series against the Heat. They have to have better ball control, man.
They do.
Their turnovers
It's
are
ridiculous.
Insane. It's actually pretty incredible that a team with as many turnovers as they're having is making the finals.
Yeah, and I mean, even though they're having these turnovers,
it's a testament to how good
they are winning really good games.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can figure out that's the next adaptation they need to make.
Yeah.
When they play Golden State, they gotta like shut down the threes and they gotta stop turning over the ball in such fucking embarrassing ways. Like there are a lot of turnovers, but they're also really embarrassing turnovers where it's just like they're dribbling.
Yeah.
Oh, the ball slipped away.
Yeah. Some it's like not even instigated by the other team or anything. So, but what are you feeling about the Celtics going up against the Warriors?
I think we got a good chance because I think the Warriors
538 has you guys at 76% chance to win.
That's crazy.
And I'm like 538. I used to like their sports stuff.
That's kind of goofy.
Getting worse. That's stupid. Goofy. There's no chance. 76% chance to win.
76 is a little bit. I'd take 60, 65 because I mean I don't think that the Warriors have as good inside scoring as we do.
And that's split between the Heat too. That's split between all 3 teams. They give the Celtics. It's the Warriors are like an 18% chance, and the Heat are like a 6.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
but
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe
are the favorites going in.
I mean, that's great to hear. It really just going to depend on how high of a shooting percentage we can keep Steph to, and I think we can just win though. I'm not worried about them. I'm not super worried about the Warriors being able to beat us.
I don't know. I just think I am.
I mean, what team have they gone up against this postseason that has had as good a defense though?
The Grizzlies, arguably. I mean, not as good of a defense. Nobody has as good a defense as Boston. So,
voila. There it is. Boom. There it is. Come on.
But it is a different. Look, the Warriors are different than anybody you've played. I mean, they've been there before more than anybody else in basketball. If there's one person that has that, if there's one team of like all the teams in the NBA right now that has currently that like been here before, it's the Warriors above anybody else, unquestionably.
That's true. However, if you look at the Celtics and the gauntlet that they've run this postseason, I think that puts them on top because the Warriors, they played the Grizzlies.
I agree. The Celtics
and they,
have definitely run a bigger gauntlet.
They had a fine, kind of tough series against the Grizzlies. Then Ja got out, and then they just won. And they've almost swept the Mavs.
Yeah,
I don't even know who they played in the first round because it was so
the
irrelevant
Nuggets. It was a 5-game series again against the Nuggets.
So they've essentially just dominated all the 3 teams. They haven't had adversity this postseason, but the Celtics have not only had adversity, they have overcome it multiple times.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It'll definitely be exciting to see. I mean, this is the first time they're back in the playoffs with Clay in 2 years. This is the first time they're back in. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. Do you want to talk about some of the fallen teams?
Yeah, let's do an in memoriam.
Yeah, an in memoriam. So Dallas. We'll just talk about Miami real quick. We're going to assume they're dying. Man, I don't know what they're going to do. They're all a bunch of old heads.
Dude, did you see
and they're going to lose Tyler Hero to free agency.
Did you see who's the guy in Philadelphia?
Joel Embiid. Yeah, he was like, they need another star.
Yeah, I can't believe he said that. I don't know if that means that he thinks that Jimmy Butler sucks or that he's or if that's actually a criticism. They just need somebody else.
No, he thinks Jimmy Butler's good because I think he's just implying that Jimmy Butler's the only star they have, which is interesting because I mean Kyle Lowry's 37 though at this point.
He was out most of the series. Though.
Exactly.
But I mean it's true. I mean they do need another star because they can't score enough consistently.
All right. Yep, I agree. So the Heat old heads. I don't know what they're doing. They're just going to stay around for a while, but I think this is their best chance to make noise
with their shitty, disloyal fan base.
Yeah. The Dallas was very exciting. They were the only good guy, the last good guy franchise left standing.
Yep. Defeating the Suns was a big move.
Impressive. And they blew the Suns out in Game 7 in Phoenix. Incredible. Yep. And they are they're very young. Obviously, Luka, watching him, man, it actually makes me depressed because watching the post game when they were down 3-0 to the Warriors, watching Luka, he goes, I mean, look, I got a lot to learn. I'm only 22. And I'm like, shit, I'm 22. I'm the same age as Luka. and
that's how I feel being the same age as Jason Tatum, man.
Yeah.
Trust me, I get it. Yeah. I get it.
I'm like,
damn, I'm just like, guy. I'm supposed to be that buff just because I'm 25 now? Like, come on.
The Dallas, they just need another big. They need a good big that can get them rebounds and defense. Yeah. Now to the more interesting ones to talk about. The one I'm most excited to talk about, and I know you'll probably be excited to talk about him too, of our in memoriam, the 76ers.
Yes.
I mean, we knew they weren't going to win. I don't know what their plan is, man. I understand they think in the media thinks they're going to be every fucking year. I don't know what their plan is. James Harden is a playoff choker. Everybody knows this. He disappears in Miami is just going to pick them apart. People go, Joel Embiid is playing hurt. All of Miami's playing hurt. I got to
be honest. I think that the 76ers could have beaten Miami if they had not made the James Harden trade.
Well, with no Ben Simmons playing either, they would have absolutely lost still. They are a better team by having James Harden.
That's not true. That's not true. They could have been a better Seth Curry would have gotten more points than James Harden. Seth Curry and Andre Drummond would have gotten more points than James Harden. They would have had more rebounds. They would have had more threes. And you know what? If they were in the playoffs, I bet Simmons would have fucking played instead of looking like a fucking little bitch.
I don't think he would have played because he didn't play for the Nets in the playoffs. And why would he play?
I know it's like a month and a half old now, but I love Ben Simmons' Joker outfit.
I love that Ben Simmons, like Charles Barkley, I think said it. He's just pulled off the biggest heist in history. Man.
Yeah.
He just stole all this money this year, and he didn't do shit, and he didn't have anything wrong with him.
Yeah, he just was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And people were just like, okay. And while mental health is important, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
that is actually ridiculous. That is not mental health.
Situation is.
I mean, that's the way it was marketed by Ben Simmons and everybody else.
He's fucking going to practice with, and he has his phone in his pocket when he was at set. He goes to practice because the 76ers make him, and he has his phone in his pocket and he's like texting during it. You are a professional NBA player being paid tens of millions a year. You don't need to be texting during practice or have your phone
Straight
when
up.
you're practicing layups and shit.
Like, it is actually straight up disrespectful to not only fans, but just like the entire league,
team,
like
everybody.
Not even as a basketball player, but as a person, because all these guys are actually people. If I had an opportunity to make that much money and I just shat all over it, that would be the most disrespectful thing I could ever do to my community, to people who know me, and just all around just human beings. You know, like it's really just sickening, honestly, the more I think about it.
Okay, so enough the 76ers, on to the next in memoriam. We'll get through these pretty fast now. Yeah. The Bucks, I think that they're just really hurt by not having Chris Middleton this playoffs. I mean, they have 2 All-Stars on their team, and one was just gone. I do believe still that they are – I still think that – I still stand by everything I said from the start of the season, that I still feel like they were realistically for the playoffs to win a championship. I still think they were the best. I'm not going to – I don't know. The Celtics are really good. I do think that if Chris Middleton was there, that series could have gone different, and the Bucks could be winning the championship this year, but I don't know.
I think that Giannis is the best player in basketball. I don't think that their team is the best team in basketball. I think Giannis is just that good. Because that series, really and through the season, we were talking about this through the season, that the Bucks were sneaky bad through the season. They lost some games that were just dumb. But they said they
weren't trying during the season.
That's horseshit.
Well, they said before even the season started, they were like, we're just going to the postseasons.
And if they aren't trying, if they don't have that drive, they're not the best team.
That's fair.
That is actually
that's fair. You're right. That's why the Suns had more wins. I mean, I just think they are really good. I mean, they have really good 3-point shooting, really good defense. They're really good all around. It's just
they are a great team, and I expect them to be in a conference final next year. If I'm going to be honest,
they'll be.
But I think they took this bloody nose, and I think they learned their lesson. I think they're going to get a lot more depth in their roster.
I mean, what was they have good depth. I mean, what was the lesson they learned? That Chris Middleton can't be injured. They can't lose one of their all-stars. I mean,
the lesson they learned is that one guy being out means that they need more depth, or else one guy being out. That is the lesson they learned.
To your point, last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, Giannis got out injured, and they still beat the Hawks. So, yeah, that's fair. All right, Phoenix, the biggest shock, man.
Dude, Chris Paul blew that series. He blew that series.
His legacy because even against the Pelicans, he was doing bad. He really hurt his legacy here in that everybody. I mean, he kind of is getting. I mean, he's historically a very good playoff performer, but this year he was just terrible. They were so disappointing. They really proved to be a regular season team, because going in, they looked unbeatable. They seemed so inevitable to win the championship this year.
In Game 5, Chris Paul had 16 turnovers.
That's unreal.
Yeah,
that's unreal.
Right?
That's unreal. I've had some bad games in my player. All right, and I'm a point guard.
I've had some bad games. I couldn't imagine having 16 turnovers.
10 turnover games and stuff.
Wow, that's
I couldn't imagine
awful.
I'm also, my guy is like a starter. Okay, so he's playing, and I get the most minutes of everybody on the Knicks. I'm on the Knicks.
Okay,
I get the most minutes. And so obviously, and that team fucking sucks, the Knicks. Okay, they did, but anyway, it's just, I mean, it's unbelievable. So they choked the bed hard. I don't know what they're gonna do now, because they're losing DeAndre Ayton. Interesting, in their Game 7, their elimination game, DeAndre Ayton, their third star, their great center, who's gonna get a max. He only played 18 minutes because of issues they had, and the team doesn't want to re-sign him. He doesn't like the team anymore. So they might be done now, because, I mean, all their guys were all on Devin Booker qualified for all NBA, so he's going to get the super max out of his rookie deal, his rookie max he's on right now. He's going to, I mean, they got to pay Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton, they're going to lose. Chris Paul's just getting older.
I think people forget that the Suns did, at the beginning of this 3-year dominance, they did come out of nowhere. It was kind of a surprise that they were this good, and it is still kind of a surprise that they're this good. And I don't think it's going to continue after this. Because
they were so good this year, though.
Yeah, but anyway, are there any?
Ja, the Grizzlies got out.
Good
for you guys. Next year you'll be even better. I mean, Ja was injured. Those games were awesome to watch.
Start of the window.
Exactly. It doesn't even them in Dallas. It's they got eliminated, but they can still be they're playing with house money. Other honorable mentions.
Pelicans, honorable mention.
Pelicans did great getting 2 wins from Phoenix. They played really hard
being in the playoffs
Zion.
and winning 2 games. Excellent work. Woo!
I know. I think they actually should just trade Zion.
Yeah, actually, though.
Because they're playing better without him, to be honest.
They should trade Zion.
And why would you want that guy back playing for you now?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like it's a low grade Ben Simmons move. Whereas I feel bad for Zion because he's just a young kid that he's kind of just fucked.
Yeah, it's not as bad as Ben Simmons, but he's totally just fucked himself. It is his fault entirely.
Like
Ben Simmons.
It's Zion's fault, but Zion fumbled the bag, whereas Ben Simmons shot up a bank.
Yeah, exactly. That is a huge difference. Yeah. Brooklyn got swept. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. They're in a mess situation. They got to figure out them and Philly got to figure out what they're doing with Harden and Kyrie.
Sad that the Nets have fucked KD's legacy.
Yeah, I know. Chicago lost in 5. That's fine. Yeah. Oh well, I'm fine with it though. We had a bunch of injuries, and this is our first year of kind of. I mean, we're like we're just fresh out of a rebuild. This is our first year of post rebuild, so I'm really not
like
stressed.
Memphis beginning of the window.
Yeah, Toronto Hawks. Who cares? Anyway, on to hockey.
Yeah, it's hockey time. So we're just finishing up the second round now. Only 2 series left after.
And I'm going to say my predictions have been on point so far. The only one I've been wrong about, I think, was Edmonton beating the Flames.
I mean, did you say that the Flames were going to beat Edmonton? Is that what you said? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. But yeah, so after last night, the Edmonton Oilers have moved on to the Western Conference Final. I believe for the first time with McDavid, which is great to see the best player in hockey, and McDavid is bar none the best player in hockey, and he really showed it in these last couple games. The Oilers beat the Flames in a gentleman's sweep 4-1, and the time of McDavid may finally be upon us. All he needed was Evander Kane to score 9 goals for him. Crazy. The Oilers Flames series.
It turns out Draisaitl wasn't the perfect guy for McDavid.
Yeah, I know. It was actually Evander Kane.
Well, if you think about it, Evander Kane's the Dennis Rodman.
That's true. That is true. He's showing stuff up. Connor McDavid's yelling at him on the bench to stop being such an asshole. You know, they really, I mean, as they're kind of like evil Chicago Bulls of hockey. But in that Oilers Flames series, interestingly enough, in 5 games, 45 goals were scored, an average of 9 goals per game.
I know. It's some of these games.
It's crazy.
Unreal.
Which that's what you want. That's what you want from a Battle of Alberta, though. That is exactly what you want. That is the billing on it. You know, for everybody that's not super into hockey, the Battle of Alberta is the premier rivalry matchup in the NHL. Mm-hmm. And at the very least, it now is, even if it wasn't before. So the Oilers are moving on. That'll be fun to see. Sad for my Flames. And I think most of everybody in Boston was behind the Flames, by the way. This is a second defeat for Bruins fans because everybody was behind the Flames and Milan Lucic because they got a lot of old Bruins players. They kind of feel like how we want the Bruins to feel, I think, for a lot of fans. So it's sad to see, but
something of note that I'm probably going to lose clout with people for. But Sean and I, when the Bruins got eliminated, we picked teams we were going to root for. Sean picked the Flames. I'm rooting for the Lightning this postseason, as I decided. I'm going to appreciate the greatness. They're not cheating like crazy like they were last year, so might as well repeat. I'll appreciate the greatness, so I'm rooting for the Lightning.
And it's going really well for you so far.
It's going great, bro. I said the Panthers were jokes. I said they were jokes. And you were like, oh, you're an idiot, Zach. You don't know anything saying the Panthers. I'm like, they're young. They don't even have a coach. They don't know shit. Once they face, I'm like, the Caps veteran seat. The Caps were scaring the shit out of them, bro. They thought they were going to lose to the fucking Caps. And then they play a real team. They get 4-game swept. And they're going to strip clubs and stuff in between the games. The Panthers. This is not a championship mentality. The Lightning do have a championship mentality.
So the Lightning have swept the Panthers. The Panthers only scored 3 goals in 4 games, and Andrei Vasilevsky continues his historic streak of in elimination games. His average goals against after this game has gone below 1 goal averaged.
That game 4 was insane. The Panthers had over 2 times as many shots on goal as the Lightning.
And the Lightning had 2 goals taken back. The Lightning had 2 goals taken back, and they still won.
4 goals. And the Panthers had 0 goals with like 50 shots.
Yeah, the Lightning are just perennial winners. You know, like that. You look at
them,
they
are
team,
some beasts.
They are a team that if there's one team that I've ever seen, maybe, you know, they can just turn it on. And this has been the conversation now that it looks like the Lightning are going to go on to at least their next conference final. And I think they're definitely going to beat the Canes, definitely going to beat the Islanders. They're probably going to go on to the Stanley Cup.
You mean the Rangers?
People have been talking about now. All right, the Rangers. Yeah, whatever. Who cares?
It's not laughing.
Yeah. Who
in the building?
Who gives a fuck? Yeah,
New York.
Same. Yeah, same one. But now people are
they'll have an 8-0 win over the Rangers. Matter.
Yeah, and if the Lightning can three-peat, everybody's talking about now they are probably the best dynasty of this century and maybe the second best dynasty in hockey behind the 80s Islanders.
Yeah, they beat the Blackhawks because the Blackhawks sure got 3 championships. But, I mean, it wasn't back-to-back-to-back. But to be fair, the Blackhawks, while they did have horrible personal stuff happen during that first cup.
And we can acknowledge that.
They did not cheat to win a championship.
They did not cheat to win a champion, which
Lightning did. One of their 3 championships was through ill-gotten gains. Like
their one championship is fugazi and not allowed.
So that taints that legacy.
But so they're at this point, I got to be honest, they're above the Penguins in my eyes. If they win, this has been the real benchmark that people are talking about. If they win, people are saying that they are going to be better than the early 2000s Red Wings, which I agree with.
You know, who I think is the best dynasty of the modern era is the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yes, let's do that honorable mention really quick. Because the Toronto Maple Leafs in a 5th consecutive Game 7, which they were up in a series 3-1, have lost and been eliminated in the first
unbelievable.
round.
It's unbelievable. And
the percentage chance of that happening, of a Game 7 loss 5 years in a row in the first round after being up in the series is
unreal.
0.00136.
I don't think there's a team in sports history of all sports that is such big chokers. Like there actually is.
They are perhaps after this year making history as the biggest chokers, not only in Western sports, but fuck it. Cricket doesn't even have chokers like this. I don't even know shit about cricket.
I'm sure
they can't. They can't have choking like this, you know? Like it's just ridiculous. And let's do the other side of the Eastern Conference real quick. The Rangers and Hurricanes. This series, I feel, has most non-hockey fans and people who have kind of abandoned their teams. A lot of people are watching the Rangers because the Rangers have actually gotten a little bit fun.
I think the Hurricanes have to be cheating at home somehow. This doesn't make any sense. They're the first team in NHL history. They're the first team in NHL history to have this good of a home record.
And so this series,
but I don't know how, because you can't steal signs.
MSG, after so many years of Rangers fans and New York hockey fans just mailing it in, essentially for like the last decade and a half, I feel like MSG's finally pumping. Is kind of exciting, you know. And Igor is kind of proving himself to be the reincarnation of Lundqvist. But the story has been the Hurricanes, really, because the Hurricanes this postseason, the series is now 3-2 because the Hurricanes won at home last night. The Hurricanes have not lost at home this postseason. However, they have also not won a single away game.
This is insane. It's unbelievable. I have no evidence that they're cheating, and so I don't really think they do. I feel like they must be. Like that just makes no sense. It actually,
because they're a good team.
I can't comprehend it. They are.
They're an incredible team, and I think that a Lightning Hurricanes
hockey is the sport of the South.
Would have been. I know it's getting taken over. I don't know what to
do. But they say Southerners say Florida's a northern state, so
which is dumb as shit.
Nobody wants them.
Yeah, nobody wants them. Give them back to Cuba. But so the last series is the Blues and the Avs, and right now the Avs are up 3-2 after choking out their Game 5, almost winning.
I so hope they
with
lose.
With McKinnon getting a hat trick.
I can't believe McKinnon before that game, Sean and we were texting, and I was like, because I wanted to hear Sean be like, I think the Lightning are going to win the cup. I wanted to hear him say it. Because the Flames had just been eliminated, and he was riding the Flames hard. And so I'm like, who do you think's going to win? He's like, well, did you see Nathan McKinnon's comment? He goes, I'm going into my 9th season, and I haven't won shit. I'm pissed. He's like, Colorado is taking this game seriously. It's the first
and then he
period.
Got a hat trick. And then he got a hat trick.
You're like, it's the first period, and they're already up 3-0. They're going to crush. Blues come back, win that game, bro. They choke so hard. It doesn't matter how motivated McKinnon is.
What I said,
they are chokers.
What I said is that I think the Avs were going to win the cup if they confidently win this game, the game that they just lost. If they confidently win this game, I think they'll go on to win the Stanley Cup.
You did say that,
I think they'll be good.
But they did.
And because they kind of got a kick in the pants from this whole Nazem Kadri, Jordan Bennington shit.
Oh,
which is the whole thing.
Weren't gonna talk about
and we aren't. I just had to mention it because it's important. All right. The Avs having their own issue with St. Louis fans leveling death threats against Nazem Kadri, but they all showed up. They gave him support. Everything's, I think, kind of handled.
Yes. It's all in the past now.
Now, this has been a surprisingly exciting series, just like the last one that the Blues were in with the Wild, where the Blues have been shockers this entire series.
I hope they win.
However, they are becoming villains because the story for me is not that Jordan Bennington threw that water bottle. That's whatever. That's Bennington. That's how he is. I really don't care.
Exactly.
My thing is David Perron and the rest of the Blues. David Perron being the only Blues player to say no one should levy death threats against Nazem Kadri. Turns out he only said that so he could kill Nazem Kadri on the ice. After Nazem Kadri scored, he tried at full speed to go past him and elbow him in the face after he had already scored. And they mugged him trying to go back to the bench. And it was
hockey.
Really
that's hockey.
It is not hockey.
Do that shit.
That is not after goals.
I guess not. Okay, that's fair. It was after a goal. You're right.
Like
that is
it was.
You're right.
The Blues in this instance, much like all Bruins fans know, crossed a line here. And they've been crossing lines for years.
Sean,
and I'm glad everybody else is seeing how dirty.
For context for the listeners, Sean, ever since he lost in 2019 in the Stanley Cup Finals to the Blues, he hates them. They're one of his least favorite teams. He seeks out every opportunity he can in my personal life with him to, whenever we're talking about hockey, to shit on the Blues. And it's interesting because I'm a Blackhawks fan, okay? Mm-hmm. And they're supposed to be
You're supposed to be with me.
I know, but Sean just hates the Blues so much. And so it's definitely interesting. But I mean,
you see, you're actually a fucking St. Louis fan. You like the Cardinals. You like the Blues.
No, I don't like the Cardinals. I like the way they play
Cardinals
baseball.
nonstop for a fucking week and a half.
Their defense, and they're intelligent.
We cut a segment about the Cardinals today because we didn't think we had enough time for. That's how much he likes the Cardinals. He's trying to insert them in everything that we do.
The Cardinals. I sacrificed them. Okay. But yeah.
Anyway, so that's the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs.
Who do you think's going to win the NHL championship? You have to do this now. How many?
Fine. It's the fucking Lightning. Shut the fuck up.
Versus. This is interesting.
Versus the Oilers.
Okay. I'm going to say I agree. I think actually if the Oilers make the finals, they might win it, actually.
They could win. I think the Oilers are the only team that could beat the Lightning.
But I'm still going to say Lightning
to actually show up in playoffs.
I'm going to say Lightning over Oilers in 6, but if it gets to the finals, even though I've been backing the Lightning this whole time, I might root for the Oilers because they would be the heroic choice then.
I think if it gets to the finals, I think I am going to root for the Oilers, but I'm not going to root for the Oilers over the Avs though.
Yeah.
But if the Avs make it to the finals, I am going to root for the Lightning.
All right.
Interesting difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a whole hierarchy.
Yeah, exactly. But that's been our show for today. Mm-hmm. We know we haven't been back for a while, but I hope we gave you some content that you wanted. I hope you're all updated on what you need for both the Sox, NBA, and the NHL.
Woo!
I've been Sean.
I've been Zach.
And that's it for today.
Thank you.
See you next time.